Welcome to the first episode of the Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. My name is Perry the Pothead Picker, and I am a full-time reseller, full-time stay-at-home dad, and this is just a little bit of an intro into what will become hopefully a decent podcast. Notice I said it's not. I didn't say it was a good podcast now. I'm saying hopefully at some point. But anyway, I produced 2 podcasts for a few years right before the pandemic, and it just was too much. So I stopped doing podcasting for a few years. I had a daughter. I've got 2 daughters now. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm technically a professional reseller, and I sell on eBay for a living. I mainly sell on eBay, but I also, I do yard sales at my house, and I also sell on Facebook Marketplace for certain items. And yeah, I'm still looking to expand. I'm looking to build my brand and my business and kind of go from there. So I wanted to start podcasting again and just kind of get back into that. So that's it. That's the quick intro. I will be joined by a co-host. It's too difficult to get together every week. I've realized that now. But I've been doing reselling for about 4 years now. I don't know everything. I don't know all the ins and the outs. I'm still learning. So, as I learn things, I'll pass those things on as best I can. But the other person who's going to be helping me out is just brand new to reselling. So I think that having him on will be a good little dynamic. He's going to be learning all that stuff off the bat. So the show's called Roughly Related to Reselling. The idea is that it will mostly be reselling based, but I do like to talk about, the different things that I pick up. So if I'm picking something up from my eBay store, chances are it's something that I either connected to the brand, or I sell a lot of toys, video games, the stuff a lot of people my age sell. But if I'm picking stuff up and I think it's cool, that's a big part of why I like doing this, is because I like finding cool stuff. And yeah, my origin story for, going hunting for stuff was I found a Charizard card back in the day. I was like 7th, 8th grade. I forget when Pokemon was first coming out. And I pulled the Charizard card on the east side of Brockton, Massachusetts in a 7-Eleven. I don't think it's a 7-Eleven anymore. And yeah, I basically had I did that thing where you try to scream. It was almost like it was a dream where you try to scream and your voice doesn't come out and shit. I did that, and I remember the guy just looking at it was me and 3 friends, and the guy just was looking at us what the fuck's wrong with these kids? So fast forward a few years, and I get to my teen years, and I started drinking at a younger age. I'm not a big drinker much now, so I guess it kind of worked out. But I would start drinking in my teen years, and in order to pay to go out and do stuff, I would sell off all the shit that I had when I was a kid. So I sold most of my collection, gave most of it away, and in that collection was that first edition Charizard that I had pulled. So I have no idea if I gave it away, if I sold it. It's gone. And so that's a little bit of why I am now a reseller, because I like to hunt for stuff and find stuff that, I had when I was a kid. So sometimes I come across stuff and I'll keep it and tuck it into my collection. And then sometimes I'll just get rid of shit and move on to the next. So there's that, yeah. So as you probably heard, I go by Perry the Pothead Picker. It's Pothead Picker on Instagram. And I'm trying to get a weed sponsorship, honestly. That's the big, a big reason I chose that name. I don't think Flips and Giggles is my eBay store, but I don't think Flips and Giggles was available as a name. So that's why I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go Pothead Picker, alliteration, Perry the Pothead Picker works for me. Yeah. So just had a yard sale this past weekend, so I'll talk about that a little bit just to kind of get the ball rolling. I try to stay on topic and stuff. It's going to be hard when I'm by myself. This is going to take practice, and I've only done a few solo podcasts, and it's not been in a long time. So my kids are sleeping right now. That's fucking awesome. They never sleep. I mean, it always seems like there's one of them is awake. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about parenting stuff too. I'm a stay-at-home dad. So I don't really have any stay-at-home dad hacks. I don't. I enjoy it. It's difficult, but it's not like, it's not what the way women portray it to be difficult. I'm just joking. That was a joke, but it's I probably just lost a bunch of people, but anyway, it's fun and it's difficult, but yeah. So we'll talk about that a little bit at some point organically. But anyway, the kids are sleeping right now, so this could be over in 5 minutes or it could be over in 45 minutes. I have no idea. So had a yard sale this weekend. All over the place, in case you didn't notice. Had a yard sale this weekend and moved a bunch of old inventory. So the way I do my yard sales is it's usually stuff that I've either bought at storage units that just doesn't fit in the store, stuff that just wasn't worth putting on eBay at I go by like $15 or less. Some stuff I'll do 15 or less if it's something that's easy to ship, but typically I won't go anything less than $8 is like the absolute least I'll go. It has to be something that I can just throw in a poly mailer and call it a day. So I went through my store. I had almost 800 listings, and I went through and I decided to get rid of, I don't know, like 400 listings, something like that. I do this every year. I just kind of wipe out a bunch of stuff that's been sitting. I don't really want to end up like a hoarder, just like piles of stuff everywhere. So I try to go through the stuff that's been sitting and get rid of it. I do this twice a year. I do it at the beginning of the summer to make a bunch of room for new inventory, clear a bunch of space, get stuff ready, and then, just kind of get shit ready to go. And that way I've got cash in hand for when yard sales start up. And so I usually do it like right around the same time every year. I try. And so that was this last weekend, and it happened to rain. And I have a covered carport, so I'm able to do it. But I can do, the yard sale under the carport, so it's nice and dry. And I did it in October last year, and it was really cold out. And I had to put tarps up. So that was a little bit more difficult. I'd prefer not to have to do that again. But, this weekend it was raining, but it was warm. And we actually basically were done before the rain started anyway. So I opened at 9 and I had somebody here at 7. But I still had to go out and do some things. I don't care if people come early, but if I'm not ready, I'm not ready. So I was basically ready the night before, got up early. I got up at 5 a.m. and I went out there, got everything set up so I could go do some yard sales before I started. So I did one quick, loop around the city, put some more signs out, grabbed some Dunkin' Donuts, and then I came back and there was a second person, and I basically was ready at that point. So I let them in. I think it was 45 minutes early. And then, a few more people started showing up right as they were coming in. And I basically gear my yard sales towards resellers. And so I do my prices. I advertise that I'm going to have really low prices. I take good pictures of the stuff that I'm going to have. And a lot of it, it's stuff that's not really worth selling on eBay, but a lot of these people in the area are flea market vendors, and I'm not a flea market vendor at the time. Otherwise, I'd take that stuff to the flea market, but plus a lot of that stuff's just going to sit. So I like to just unload. It's all, stuff that's been bought in bulk, stuff that there's a few things that I've taken a loss on, but most of it is stuff that I purchased in bulk deals or I got for free. Towards the time that the yard sale is coming up, I'll just start getting, if there's free stuff, a free pile or a curb alert, and I see stuff that I can probably grab and throw in the yard sale and make like $5 to $10, and it's really not out of my way, I'll do it. And so yeah, I've started almost like sourcing for my yard sales as well, just because it's a good way to make some cash right before, and then I can put that money into something. I had a deal that fell apart this weekend. I had gone to their yard sale Saturday, so my yard sale by 9:20, there was like one guy who just was loading up shit. He had a big fucking pile and just was getting stuff all together, ready to go. And so I made different deals with different people. People were buying I had like a huge bin full of a mix of vintage hats, all stuff that's been sitting on my store, all was at like $10 to $12 a piece, all stuff I've already either made my money back on or. So I just was happy I let it go for like $30. I was doing stuff cheap. And so the other reason is that, it gets the competition a lot of stuff right at the beginning of the season. And it's all stuff that, I didn't find to be necessarily that valuable, but, it kind of, I don't know if it's either like satisfies that hunger that resellers have for buying a lot of inventory. And so it kind of, pumps the brakes, I guess, for the beginning of the season. They get that big rush of adrenaline. And then, I can go out and get all the good shit while they're just kind of basking in their finds, even though that's nothing crazy. I've gone through everything pretty much meticulously. So you'll find a few things that are worth a couple bucks. I mean, the people are going to make money off me. There's no doubt about it, but I just... stuff I just really had no interest in going through. But anyway, so after that, so about 9 o'clock is when the sale was supposed to start. At like 9:20, I was pretty much mostly cleared out. I had a few things, and I still made about $100 or so like later on throughout the day, because people just kept buying, different things in bulk. But there was a few things that didn't sell that I was surprised about. There was like a big Power Rangers thing from like Power Rangers Mystic Force, which my era was Mighty Morphin. So I don't know shit about Mystic Force, but it was a big thing. I was selling it for $5 initially, and then I marked it down to $2, and it still just sat there. I ended up giving it to my buddy so he could give it to his nieces and nephews to shoot each other with. But that I was surprised about. And so, yeah, by 9:20, I was pretty much cleared out. And then I decided that I was going to go out to a yard sale. So I was able to get to this yard sale. They had advertised that they had video games, comic books. I was like, oh, sweet. This will be perfect. Let me go to this sale. It'll be, I just finished. My wife was watching the yard sale. So I ran out for, I was probably gone like 30 to 40 minutes. Get to the yard sale. Nobody's there. It was really poorly advertised. And so they had some Lego stuff. So I got like a Lego set with Harry Potter, and they had a PlayStation 4 with a bunch of games. No controllers, but I've got stuff to test it. So I buy that stuff. I think I paid $80 for both of them. And it was, I think it was like one of the PS4 Pros. I have to double check it. And so I buy that stuff, and I start talking to them, asking about the comics and this, that, and the other. And so the guy said, oh, I got to get everything together. So he starts showing me the video games that he had. He's had some like, retro gaming stuff. And so I was cool, with the price he had said. He said that the price was, I think he said like the price was $300 for what he had. And so then I was like, okay, that's cool. And for whatever reason, he wouldn't sell it that day. And so I left, and I was like, in communication with them because I was really interested in buying that and looking at the comics. And he had said $1 each on the comics, and he had said he had about 200. So I go back the next day, and it had rained on Saturday. So that was part of the reason why we ended our yard sale early. And so I go back on Sunday, and everything is uncovered, soaking wet, and sitting there from the night before. There's one table with tarps over it, and the other tarp had like blown off. So there was a bunch of stuff I wanted to go back and buy. They had collectibles, all types of stuff. He had records outside. He's lucky those didn't get wet. But he had a garage, and I don't know why the fuck he didn't just pull the shit into the garage. But this fucking guy just left everything outside. So they're dumping water out of a guitar, like all of the collectibles that had like, they were in mint condition, all were ruined. Like it was not good. So he had some manga books, and I was going back and forth with his son, and I didn't know too much about him, but he wanted like $40 for him, and I just didn't know enough about him. So I was going back and forth, and the dad's like, just make a deal. You want to get rid of him, fine. Okay. So remember, he said that once I get to the next part of the story. So I started talking to the dad again about, the comics and video games we had discussed. And so then all of a sudden, he's like, oh, well, I pulled more stuff out for the video games. And he's showing me all the video games. And it's all the stuff that he had already shown me. And minus some Nintendo DSs that he said was there. So the price somehow went from $300 to $400. And it was minus the stuff that I, was wanting more. It wasn't great stuff. There was like a Wii and Xbox, some Xbox games, a Dreamcast, some Dreamcast games. Like it wasn't anything spectacular for that amount of money. And so the price went up. So I'm like, all right, well, let's take a look at those comic books. And he said he wanted $1 each. So I'm like, all right, well, would you do like 150? I'm looking through them, and he's like, he basically says that he's not going to do 150. He's firm on the price, and he wanted to get, that much money for his stuff. And then he starts pulling stuff out of the pile. So that he's got a pile of these comic books, and he starts pulling stuff out of it. And it's, it's looking more and more like this deal's not going to get done. So I told him, I was like, I come get back to me when you figure out what you want to do, and then, we'll see. So I was lucky to get the deal I got the day before, but I just wasted so much fucking time waiting for this guy to decide. And I think his girlfriend wanted him to sell the stuff because she wasn't there that next day. And, he, I think they got in like a fight. He said something about them, he was oversharing and said something about her being mad at him or something. So anyway, now let me pause this real quick. All right, I'm back. My kid's piece of shit baby monitor beeps when its battery's getting low, and the battery's always fucking low because it doesn't hold a goddamn charge. Anyway, all right. So where was I? So the deal fell apart. Sometimes that happens. I ended up going to another sale, finding a pair of Oakleys, 2 pairs of Oakleys. And then I went to another sale, and I had to wait again. I mean, whatever, waiting's whatever. So I was at this little community sale. The sale really sucked. There was only like a few people set up. I got some plush Pokemon stuff and some board games that I'm going to give to Dan, who will be on the podcast. That's what he does. He does board games, but I'll let him do all that shit. And then, so this girl came over to a sale I was at. I was talking to this lady, and she's like, oh, I've got electronics in my bag. She was still getting set up for her sale. So I was like, oh, do you have any video games? And she's like, oh, I live 2 streets over, and I've got a Nintendo DS, the Pikachu one. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'd like to see it, wait for it. So she comes back with that and some Nintendo Switch games, and it takes her forever. She's like, oh, I'll be right back. And they come back, and they reek like weed, which I don't, I'm not knocking it. But yeah, it just took them for fucking forever. They took forever. But they came back with a Pikachu new Nintendo 3DS XL. Pikachu edition. So that thing goes for some good money. Unfortunately, it was all fucking scuffed up. Not like crazy bad, but enough that it should bring the value down a little bit. And a bunch of Nintendo Switch games. One was sealed, Animal Crossing, New Horizons, I think it's called. But we might end up keeping that one. I gotta see if my wife wants to keep that one. So I added it to my stack of sealed games, and we'll see. I save them, and then I try to decide if I want them or not. But yeah, that was how my weekend of sales went. So, and that also from that same person, I also got pair of vintage Ray-Bans, really good condition. So I wasn't really sure how to price those because they were kind of all over the place. So I just went high and priced it at $300. We'll see. I'll probably end up dropping it. I'm sure I will. So who knows? Who fucking knows? I guess if you want to leave a comment, or you can send an email in to flipsandgiggles@outlook.com right now. Let me know what yard sales are called in your area. They're all kind of different. Sometimes there's garage sales, there's tag sales. You can be in one town over, and they call their shit yard sales, and then the next town over they call it tag sales. So I'm just curious if there's anything like other than tag. Well, I've heard obviously there people say porch sales, people say like indoor yard sales. There's all different types, but I'm just wondering if there's any that aren't like super known. But anyway, yeah, that was just a random thought I had. So let me know if that I'm not the only one thinking that. So the other thing I'd like to talk about is, I always joke with my wife, and it's not really a joke because I really want to do this, but I would like to see like a task force or like a reality show about a task force. Is my kid up? I can't tell if I can hear my kid screaming or not. They both look like they're sleeping on the monitor, but it sounds like they're screaming. Maybe I have a fucking ghost. I don't know. Anyway, so this task force goes around, and they basically are responsible for rounding up the criminals who leave their fucking yard sale signs up 4 weeks after their sale, because they put their address, so it's not that hard, you know what I mean? You could just start finding these people. But I think that they deserve like the worst punishment that you can dole out to people. So this reality show would center around a task force that was responsible for tracking people down with their old yard sale signs. My yard sale this past weekend was done at 2 o'clock. Do you know when my signs were down? My signs were down by 1 p.m. because we called it a day early. So I pulled down my signs. I didn't leave them out. I even went to go pick some up, and they fell down on the ground because it was raining, and I picked them up because I'm a responsible citizen. So if you're going to have a fucking yard sale, get your sign and take it down when your sale's done. I cannot stand following a sign that does not have, especially if you don't put a date. Oh, that drives me nuts. If you don't have a date on your thing, oh shit, my kid's waking up. But yeah, if you don't have a date on your sign, it drives me fucking crazy. I think I have to go get my kid. God damn it. All right, let me pause this. I might be able to still podcast while my kid's down here. We'll see. Hold on. All right, I'm back. So some of the punishments, I think, for leaving your yard sale sign up, and I wasn't even going to do this part, but I just kind of was thinking on my way up to go get my daughter, what kind of world do I want to live in? And it's one where people don't leave their goddamn yard sale signs up. So here are some of the punishments we could brainstorm. Maybe you can send some in or comment or leave what you think should be appropriate punishment. But one thing that I think should happen is you get to staple a yard sale, like a neon yard sale sign onto their chest. And then you write I was, like those dog shaming videos where it's like, I, peed in the house, blah, blah, blah. You just write, I left my yard sale sign up too long, jazz it up however you want. But, that's one thing that we could do. The other thing that we could do is we could post new signs with the correct date and just put them everywhere and say that you're having a yard sale every single weekend. Go up every weekend and get new signs and put them up. I think that's something that could be done. So I don't know. I'm just kind of brainstorming. Those are two things I was thinking would probably help curb the use of late yard sale signage. So anyway, so yeah, where was I? Storage units. My current death pile situation. I'm thinking, so I just have some like shit that I wrote down in case I, get sidetracked. But so my current death pile situation. I just had a yard sale, so my current death pile situation is not really that bad. I basically wiped out everything that's not video game related or vintage toy, and then I still have clothing stuff, vintage clothes. I've got some old media. I love selling cassettes. Cassettes are one of my favorite things to sell. But right now in my death pile, I really need to organize, but I can't. I'm so bad at organization, and because I'm with the kids all day most of the time, I don't have like a ton of time. By the end of the day, I need to take pictures and then list, and it seems like that's all I ever have time for. I just basically forced myself to do a podcast because I really want to get the podcast up and running. I probably sank the chance to get female viewers or listeners with that joke I said earlier, but I'm going to double down on it. It's really not as hard as women say. Really not that bad. And I have 2 daughters. I'm sure it'll get worse. But, yeah, it was really bad the first week. I'm not going to lie. I'm fucking around, but, the first week it was really rough. Yeah, it wasn't good. But now we're in a pretty good rhythm. So, anyway, my death pile situation. Yeah, it's really not that bad right now. I've got some She-Ra stuff in my death pile that I really need to get to. Some My Little Pony. I've got like a few $100s in that stuff. Just sitting there. I've got a few stuffies. I kind of got rid of a ton of stuffies. Stuffies can sell big. One of my biggest things I ever sold was a stuffy. Kind of a stuffy. But yeah, I'll save that one for later. I'll put that up eventually. I'm gonna hold that one up for a while. I sold it for like $1,300. I'll tell you eventually what it was, but not right now. You gotta invest a little bit into this. So, anywho, yeah, right now I'm dealing with, it's just, my store's been slow, but every time my store's been slow, it's not because, I feel like it's because I'm focused on other things. Like, I feel like eBay wants you to constantly be on their app and you sell stuff, which I haven't really been listing a ton, you know what I mean? I've been listing I list every day. If I'm getting towards the end of the day and I haven't listed something, I'll end and sell similar just to get a listing up. But my store's been slow, but it's just because I haven't been focused on it. You know what I mean? I don't think there's some grand conspiracy. Although I did see like they now put, it's almost like an ad to another seller's store. Like when you end a listing and you're on the item page before you close it out, it's like an ad for another seller. So it's really weird. I don't know why they do that, because it's you as the seller ending the item, and then they're like, well, here's another seller. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know if you pay for that and if it's even worth it to pay for it, because you're basically advertising to other sellers, which I do buy from eBay. You know what I mean? I just bought, I had to buy a replacement battery for something just not the other day. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, bought a replacement battery. It was like a 3DS. That's what it was. So yeah, but I don't know why, if you would pay to advertise to other sellers as an eBay seller. It doesn't make sense to me, but yeah. So I took my store from almost 800 listings now down to about 400. And I'm just kind of getting my shit reorganized. I try to do it a couple times a year, but then yard sale season just kind of happens and kicks my ass, and it's just always playing catch up. My daughter started school on Fridays. It's like school/daycare, so that kind of helps. I can get some stuff done. And fortunately, but unfortunately, there's no yard sales usually on Fridays here. If they are, they're usually a reseller yard sale. And the other resellers aren't as generous as I am with their inventory. I'll just say that. Some of them are. I'm just saying the yard sales that I've been to, I've met other resellers out here that I trade with, that I, sell stuff to, buy stuff from. So that was not intended to be a slight. So anyway, I was thinking about doing like a giveaway with my death pile, just like a giving away one item a week, but I don't really know if I have enough stuff to do that anymore. I always write stuff down whenever I go to podcast, and I always get I have 4 or 5 pages, and then I blow through it. I cross half of them out because they're shitty and they sounded good at a certain time. You know what I mean? So I had to bring my kid downstairs, so if you hear some noises in the background, it's my little one making noises. I'll make sure to lock them in the closet for the next one. Anyway, 30 minutes in, that was it was easy getting to that 30-minute point, but now I'm like, shit, what am I going to talk about? Yard sales coming up this weekend. I didn't mean to just yawn just then, but you got to do what you got to do. Yard sales coming up this weekend. I've got the kids this weekend, so every other weekend I basically have I'm not divorced, but my wife works every other weekend. And so some Saturdays I've got to bring the kids out. I haven't had to bring them both yet. My mom lives next door, so she'll take one of them. She can only handle one of them at a time. And so I've been bringing the younger one lately, but my daughter, I think she's going to be getting close to that age where she can start to come to yard sales with me, because right now, she would just grab shit and I wouldn't be able to get anything done, you know what I mean? But she's getting kind of mature enough to where she'll be okay with listening and, not just grabbing anything and everything. So it actually worked to my advantage. I brought my youngest to a church sale, and I was just sitting in my car waiting. I got there early, as I do most of the time. And the church ladies were walking by, and they came out after a minute, and they were like, oh, do you want to come shop early since you have the little one? And in my head, I was like, fuck yeah, but I'm not going to say that to a church lady. I was like, yes, please, that would be great. I forget what I said some shit. Are you okay with that? Something like that. And they're like, yeah, well, we know that people like to come in and shop early with kids, so come on in. So I went in, and there was piles of vintage Aladdin toys. So I grabbed those. I grabbed some cool t-shirts. Grabbed something else for my daughter. I can't remember what it was. But we got a decent little haul, got to shop around before everybody came in. And then I was on to the next, you know what I mean? So that's always cool. And that's happened to me another time where I had talked to a lady. She was having an estate sale. And I had messaged her because she had mentioned that she had video game collectibles. So I asked if she had any video game stuff, and she was, said yes, but that was basically it. So I showed up there early. It was a random middle of the day sale. Wasn't very well advertised. I'm really good at finding not very well advertised sales. And so she was having this sale, and I get there, and I'm early, and I'm waiting outside the door. And one of the guys comes out, and I'm talking to him, and he's, I just had mentioned that I had sent somebody a message asking about video games. And he's like, oh, you want to talk to this lady, blah, blah, blah. So she came by, and I had said, I talked to you last night about video games. And she just immediately was like, yeah, come in real quick. So she let me come into the sale. And, there was people in their cars who just were waiting. And so I came in, and there was a stack of video games. So she was like, well, I want 100 for this. So I was like, okay, done. I'll do 100 for that. Then she had Lego stuff across the way. So I was like, how much for that Lego set? It's I think I sold the set for $250. So she wanted $100 for that. And then there was a bunch of other collectibles and Halloween stuff. And I ended up spending I think $300 total, $300 or $400 total right off the bat. Within 5 minutes, I loaded up, and then all these people started coming in. People were not happy that I had to go early. I have no idea why she let me go early. She just, I wasn't going to say no. I had never talked to her about going in early. I don't know if she mistook me for somebody else she talked to. But I did talk to her about video games. And that's all I said. And I didn't get to finish talking to her about it. She just said yes, and that was it. So she let me in early, and that was fucking awesome. So I made some good money on that stuff. But that's the only 2 times that's happened. A lot of times you don't get to go in early for stuff. You got to wait. But I do love when they let you in. Like, I love it and I hate it. I just like to be able to shop without other people, like, breathing down my neck. Which most of the places out here, like, where I live, it's kind of nice. I don't really have to do that. So, and I've kind of made connections with other people so I can get a decent amount of inventory. What is my daughter doing over there? So, yeah. I don't know. As far as dad life's going, I got a vasectomy a couple months ago. Everything still works, I think. Not like I'm sterile, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's still, never mind. I'm playing the new Legend of Zelda right now. I probably shouldn't because it's such a time suck. Like, the time I should be listing, I'm playing Zelda. I'm not playing like constantly. I play for like 45 minutes a day. But still, that's 45 minutes that I could be listing. And I'm not, and I just finished, I was like living in The Last of Us. Oh, my daughter's, I gotta move my daughter. Give me a second, I'll come back and I'll finish this. But yeah, I'm playing Zelda right now. Probably shouldn't be. I just not blew through, but like I started The Last of Us part 1 right before the show came out. And then once I finished that, I was like, well, I gotta play 2 again. And there's a lot I didn't remember about 2 because it was like right when I had my first daughter. Like, I remember I finished the game at like 4 or 5 in the morning, like 1 week with my daughter when she was very, very little. And I was just blasting fucking Infected. And yeah, it was a great game. The show, the game's way better. I just don't think they can get to the point that just from where they were, the trajectory with the first game, the first season, I just don't see them getting there second season. But we'll see. I'll watch it. I don't give a shit. Got nothing else to do. Anywho, yeah, parenting stuff. We just had a big sickness go through the house. It was like 2.5 weeks. It started with my daughter. Super, super sick. And then just proceeded to get the baby sick, and then my wife got sick. I held out the longest. It's because I eat my boogers. Nobody wants to hear that, but it's true. I definitely held out the longest. Best immune system. And then I finally got sick, but I didn't really get that sick because I ate my boogers. So yeah. And now we're in the process of getting ready for my daughter's 3rd birthday. So trying to pick a theme for that. She's probably not going to even like the same shit that she liked, previously. It'll be like, a week before, and I'm sure she'll change what she likes. Right now it's dinosaurs, though. She fucking loves dinosaurs. She's not really like a big princess girl. She's not big into princesses or anything like that. She's just, big into dinosaurs. She loves Dino Ranchers. Bluey's the shit. I mean, she's always loved Bluey. We did a Bluey birthday for her first birthday, so we can't really do the Bluey thing again. But yeah, Tiny Chef is the new thing she likes. She likes to cook stuff, so it's kind of cool. They got their own little personalities brewing. My little one, she's not gonna let me podcast. I can see her over there. She's under the table. Not under the table. I can see her under the table. She just wants to be hanging out. So I think I'm going to wrap up. I might try to do like 20 minutes. I wanted to do an hour, but I don't think my daughter's going to let me. So I think I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to try to do another 20 minutes today, because I think it'll be weird if I do 20 minutes like tomorrow. But yeah, I felt good for a first run. And maybe I can think of more topics besides misogynist jokes that aren't that funny. Anyway, Eat your boogers, and I'll be back, or I won't, in a little bit. All right, I am back. Man, bedtime. Just finished bedtime, so it's a few hours later. I did about 40 minutes earlier. I want to do about 20 more minutes, finish this thing up. So, yeah. Just finished doing some orders, just taking a break. I have one more order to do. Boxed up a set of vintage 1977 science fiction magazine books, and then some Animorphs. I don't know if you remember Animorphs, but I think it was a show too. I can't remember which came first, the books or the show. The artwork on it is fucking terrible. It's really bad. But yeah, that stuff sells. Goosebumps and Animorphs all day. Just don't overpay for it. Sometimes you can overpay for it and end up, I forget what the expression is, but you know what I mean. Anywho, bedtime's done. Sold one of our children's old swings, so that's done. $20 marketplace, quick pickup. The guy came and got it. All done with that. And yeah, my wife had to go up to get the baby up, so I had to jump on the podcast real quick, take a break from packing that stuff up, so I could do about 20 more minutes and finish up. I think that last time I was talking about eating boogers or something like but it would be like 5 minutes ago. But anyway, yeah, now my daughter is, sick. I know I said that they were just sick, but she's sick again. Woke up from her nap. She had a little bit of a temperature, but it went away, and she just got like a runny nose and shit. So hopefully it's nothing. Got to take her to the dermatologist tomorrow for a rash, so that's fun. So all the fun parenting stuff. So I just recently bought myself a honey badger. This isn't an ad for anything. I just bought myself this because I've wanted one for a while. The honey badger. So I do dabs, and I was doing the I forget what it's called. It's like a straight little thing. It looks like a crack pipe. My wife always says that I look like I'm smoking crack when I do it. So I had to get something a little bit more professional. It works great, except I didn't realize that you need a charger for the batteries. So it stopped working pretty quickly. Of course, I thought it was broken. It was not. It was just that you were supposed to buy the batteries separately. So that was my only complaint, is that I had to buy everything separately. It should have just been all together. What are you going to do? I should have looked further on the website, but anyway, just had to pay like an extra shipping, but it's fine. I'm not going to complain about it. The thing works great. I don't look like I'm smoking crack anymore. Everybody's happy. So, yeah, right now I'm just sitting here. I don't really need to tell you what I'm wearing, but I will. I'm just wearing shorts, and I'm not wearing a shirt. I'm just hanging out because it's hot, and I was thinking about reselling attire and just how ridiculous resellers look. I'm guilty of it too. I'm always, up until recently, I just bought a t-shirt with a little thing, that says I'll buy your shit, whatever. But like in the wintertime, especially, I go out and I just am in pajamas most of the time, like sweatpants, flip-flops, I don't have Crocs, but like boots, rain boots for when it's wet, just some shit that you can slide on, slide off. And yeah, I just see resellers I know obviously like yard sales is one thing, but just like in general, I go to storage unit auctions, I go to anything where you see a lot of resellers. We just, as a people, we do not dress well. So I think my goal is to get to the point of reselling where I can afford like Gucci pajamas, you know what I mean? So I'm still rolling out in pajamas, but I'm rolling out in fucking style, class. And yeah, that's the dream right there. Gucci pajamas. So yeah, a couple more orders to finish up. I thought it would be easier to do 20 minutes, but it's been 5 minutes and I'm already running out of steam. No, I'm just kidding. Made dinner tonight, leftover chicken. I never used to do leftover chicken until we got like the air fryer. And then you just air fry it up and it's a lot better. We haven't used our microwave in I don't know how long. We used to use it not all the time, but I think we rarely use it. It's like every once in a while we use it. So I have a bunch of shit left over from my yard sale, and I think tomorrow I have to post on one of the free groups. I'm going to do that first to see if anybody wants to take it, and then I'll just take the rest of it to Savers and try to... I always go into Savers hoping to buy stuff, and it just never... I've hit there like once or twice. But yeah, I think you have to go there often. But yeah, I'll probably go there this week and check it out, see if I can't find anything. I did a marketplace pickup today, grabbed a couple t-shirts. One was like a vintage Airwalk t-shirt, and the other one was a vintage Harley Davidson shirt. So Harley Davidson stuff's like hit or miss, unless it's like the old, the badass shit. But I always come across like early 2000s, mid 2000s. I came across a bunch one at an estate sale last year. It was just like a very poorly advertised estate sale, family run. And it was like the second day that they had it, and nobody came the first day. And so I asked them to see the clothes, and they had a bunch of old Harley Davidson stuff. And I loaded up everything, and like, they were like, yeah, just pay what you want to or something. So I think I ended up paying like $50, and I walked out with just piles of stuff. There's like old rock and roll t-shirts, a bunch of shit. I don't know where I was going with that. The Harley Davidson stuff. So we'll see. This shirt's decent. I'm sure it'll sell for a couple bucks. It was free. It was right up the street. So I'll always run out for some free shit just right up the road. Why not? Why not? Just out here trying to get some Gucci pajamas. Absolutely. So yeah. And then we're going to probably watch, I don't know, I think we can watch, what's it called? Ted Lasso. I think you're able to watch it like at like 9 p.m. or something like that. So we'll probably watch that in a minute. I still got a couple more things to do. I want to take some pictures tonight. Get some more stuff lifted. I've been really slacking on my listings just because I was getting everything unlisted for the yard sale, and that was so time consuming. And so now I'm just trying to finish everything up. Oh shit, my wife's coming downstairs. So I'm probably going to finish this up anyway and call it a night because I got so much shit to do. Get back on top of that. But I might finish this up in a couple minutes. Maybe. If not, later.